Hello, everybody. I'm here with Ilene Kahn with the League of Women Voters. Eileen, how are you?
I'm great today.
Okay. May I ask how old you are?
I'm 68.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Now, Eileen, you've been a member since 2007. What has kept you committed to the League of Women Voters all this time?
You always feel like there's something to do with the league, especially if you're a volunteer. And one of the best things to do to keep engaged with public community is to be a volunteer. And when you're working on something like this that has such huge significance in your life and in the life of the nation, you always feel like you have a purpose.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. I mean, that you're still committed to this organization, which's been around since 1920. To be exact, February 14th of 1920 is when the League of Women Voters was established as an organization, and it's a nonpartisan organization. So why don't you explain to everyone watching what that means?
Sure. So the league was formed in 1920 in order to help women who had just gotten the right to vote nationwide understand what voting is all about. But our job is to educate, and by being nonpartisan, we do not support candidates or their parties. We do have issues that we support, but those are independent and had always been independent from parties and candidates. The world has changed, but we are still nonpartisan, and we like to educate the public about voting and all things related to voting and democracy.
So does every so the League of Women Voters, is there like a chapter in every county or every city? Is there a state and a federal League
Sure.
of Women Voters?
Sure. So there's a National League of Women Voters. Now you join at the national level, and then
Okay.
you identify your location. So there's state leagues in every state, and there are individual leagues all across the country. So when you join the league in New Jersey, you're a member of the National League, the state league, and your local league.
And are there dues? Do you have to pay to become a member? Is there some kind of stipend for people who can't afford to be a member? How does that
Right.
work?
Thank you for asking. So, first of all, I think it's important to say that we've evolved with the time, and men are allowed to join the League of Women Voters. And when you join at the national level, you're given the option of a sliding scale based on your ability to pay. So it goes from $20 to $75. If you're a student, you're 16, your league can sponsor you, and then you don't really pay a fee at all. And certainly, if someone wants to join, we're trying to erase any barriers for people to join a league.
Yeah, you said something a few minutes ago that I didn't really like. You said men can join the league. Let's keep the men, let's have the men keep to their Rotary Club, okay? This is for women. Us women need to have something on the national level. And so I'm going to be a little biased about that. So let's just keep the League of Women Voters as powerful as it can be with only women participating. Okay, that's what I vote for. As a brand new member of the League of Women Voters, by the way, I joined in April and I'm so proud to be a member of my community chapter. And so let's keep the men out of it, Eileen, okay? Can I put that vote in?
I will take the fence on that because there are many members who are men, and in fact, the Rotary Club now has women. Just saying.
The Rotary Club has what?
Women can join the Rotary Club.
Oh, true, true. That's true. So tell me, what is the league working on right now in this chaotic state of that we're in here in America? I know that you guys fight for different things. You speak up, speak out. What is the National Women's League talking about right now?
We are fighting for the small d democracy. So now we're not talking about the Democratic Party. We're talking about the democratic rights and especially access to the polls, okay? We want there to be no barriers to access to the polls. So whatever is happening, we will work even at the national level, and actually send legislators notifications. We'll write amicus briefs. We'll actually do things on a legal level with our legal counsel as part of the league to fight against any kind of laws that discriminate or prevent people from voting. We're also working very hard against gerrymandering, which people have heard in the news, which, to simplify it, allows politicians to pick their voters as opposing to the voters picking their politicians. So the redistricting has gone on for years by both parties. But weaponizing it is really one of the things that is very frustrating to the league. I also want to just back up a second and say that we like to say that men and women are allowed to join the league, but so are non-binary people. So we are extremely liberal-minded in that regard, and we don't want to say you have to be a man, you have to be a woman. So even though, Trish, I know how you feel, League believes in open society, and we have a diversity, equity, and inclusiveness pledge as part of our league.
Yeah, I am aware about that. I did read the bylaws, and I did notice that you do believe in diversity, equality, and inclusion, and I think that's very important. That's one of the aspects that drew me to the league. But not only that, what drew me to the league was the right to vote. Right now, we have an administration who's trying to do away with mail-in voting, which I think is very important. Give me the ways that people can vote here in America. What are
Right.
the different
So
ways?
it's a state by state issue. Okay. And so if there's the law in New Jersey, that applies to New Jersey voters. You can vote on election day, which is November 4th. You can also vote by mail without being absent. There's no absentee ballot. It's just called a vote by mail. You can vote from your dining room table. Ballots go up like the end of September. So you have time to really sit down and look at the ballot and where it is you want to put your vote. And you can also vote early. So early voting starts, I think, the Friday, the week. It's like I forget when it is, but it's almost a full week of voting, including Saturdays and Sundays. So there are in Bergen County, for example, there's 9 locations where you can go vote in person. And I also like to stress that if you vote by mail-in ballot, there are secure ballot drop boxes all over your county where you can put your ballot. It is safe and it is collected every night and it is surveilled, and both parties are involved in its legislation. So there are 3 ways to vote. In fact, I'd like to say some people call November 4th late voting. So, and it's
Yeah, yeah. No, I vote by mail.
yeah,
I like voting by mail because I wanna make sure and I wanna get it in as early as possible because I
right,
think it's very important,
right.
to vote. Tell me, what are some of the not political, public policy issues? For example, I know that the league is very big in speaking out about gun violence, about education, about human rights. What is going on right now on the national level with these issues?
Okay, so we have recently adopted the national level of criminal justice reform. So criminal justice covers everything from the minute that you are approached to everything from bail reform and sentencing reforms and things of that nature. These are citizens' rights. We consider this part of what we need to support. And when California League did a comprehensive bill on criminal justice and police reform, the National League adopted the position whole cloth. Okay. Um, the state level, the league has just approved position on reparations, and it is not about writing a check. It's about recognizing, having there be a res- rec- truth and reconciliation process where people in New Jersey understand that New Jersey was the last slave state of the North. People do not understand that. They do not know that. But systemic segregation and even racism has lasted to this day. And there are difficulties even with things like fair housing, healthcare, environmental things that affect people of color all over the state. Even though we have some of the best education in the state of New Jersey, we are fighting because we have the most sixth most segregated school system in the country. So there's a billion issues. And, the goal is to make awaken the public about these issues so they will find out what positions their elected officials take on this by asking them and voting.
Yeah, those issues are very important, and I know another issue that's also very important is education. Education is another, policy or another issue that needs to be addressed. And why is it so important for the league to be working on that type of issue,
Right. Well, so what you're
when
doing.
students are involved?
Yeah, in the school system, you're building tomorrow's citizens, okay? So what we really wanna do,
True.
we wanna educate people at the high school level. There are state laws now in New Jersey that say you must teach civics in middle school. So we're building our civic community, from the ground up, and we want people to understand that the voting franchise was won for women through great fight, and that people all
Right.
over this country should recognize their duty, their privilege, their right to vote. So one of the things that the league does is we go to different high schools, and we certainly in
Okay.
and we get them involved in the process. We can speak at their schools. We have voter registration drives at their schools, and we actually engage younger students in our local high school to register all the graduating seniors. And in New Jersey, if you are 17 years old and you will be turning 18 before the election, you may register to vote now. Some people get worried they don't see their name on the voter polls, but that's when their birthday happens, they get activated. So we even have an energizing voters program that goes into the schools at all levels and does an interactive thing to talk about voting and who got it and when, and that it was gradually increased over time. Women got the right to vote. People of color got the right to vote. There were less restrictions. There are different places in the country where there were tests to see if you could vote. So all this is discrimination in ways that is frightening.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we live in some dangerous times right now, and it's important that we get the young people involved. And what is the youngest that someone can join the League of Women Voters?
We have 16-year-olds. I hope
$16?
I believe so. I have to double check that, but let's put it this way:
I think you're right. I think it is 16.
if you're interested in the league at any level or any way, we can certainly use you as a volunteer. Okay, and we have used younger volunteers. In fact, the League of Women Voters is in coalition, as we'll talk about maybe later, with the Girl Scouts of America. So as a result, we can use Girl Scouts to help us with volunteer activities, and
Oh,
that's for them because they also have a civics badge. So we are reaching out and holding hands with many other nonpartisan organizations that are trying to promote civil activity.
I think that's fantastic. I being a Girl Scout myself, on my honor, I will. I was very proud to be a Girl Scout. So the league has not meshed, but the league has connected with the Girl Scouts. So that's wonderful. I think that's another great organization for women
Mhm.
to be, or girls to
Yep.
be in,
Yep.
and learning.
Yeah, in New Jersey, we do what's called Voter Girl, where we get together either in northern and or southern Jersey. We do a whole day for all the troops in those areas to give them sort of a crash course. Again, it helps them fulfill their badge, and the league people come and share their information, and it's a wonderful day and exchange from seasoned veterans and young people whose minds are still open to this.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now, as president of your community, your community, your town, do all the communities get together, and with the National League, do you guys get together and form some type of quarterly newsletter
Yes,
or get together like a convention to talk about the issues that are happening
yes. So
in the national?
every 2 years is a national convention at some place in the country,
Okay.
and every 4 years it goes from Washington to some other place. I think this year it's gonna be in Cleveland. And then statewide, every other 2 years, we have a state convention. There are newsletters that go out from the national convention, a national organization, the state organization, local leagues have newsletters, and then the leagues themselves collaborate. So, for example, in Bergen County, there are 5 leagues. Okay, you and I are members of that county league system because we are Glen Rock, Ridgewood, Fair Lawn, Teaneck, and Northern Valley. It's important to note that Northern Valley represents, it's not a town, it represents 29 leagues. It's very hard to expand our reach, which is why we collaborate with other organizations. So while 4 of our leagues in Bergen County are town specific, one of those leagues is a conglomerate of towns. So in the state, there are about 30 some odd leagues, but of course, there's 564 towns in 21 counties. So our goal is to be in all 21 counties. I think we're in 19 counties now. And at a time before this, it was easier to be a league member. People joined the league because they wanted to be with a collection of intelligent-minded women who wanted to know what was going on outside their house, and they were eager to join and form leagues. So many leagues have combined and gotten smaller. But we know that there are other groups that attract them that are partisan. So that may be perfectly within their rights. You belong to as many groups as you want as a volunteer. But the league's mission primarily is to get everyone to vote and to let everyone understand there are ways to find out who's on the ballot. We get a problem where people get to the top of the ballot or they vote only once every 4 years and they don't realize how important local politics is. So we do work on that.
Yeah, you also do local elections, or you try to help with local elections.
Yes. So what happens is, first of all, we have another initiative, which is to build our pool of poll workers. So the state is constantly looking. Each county is always looking for poll workers. And in Bergen County,
Okay.
we have a tremendous initiative where they're training high school students to be poll workers, which is great. They get
Oh, that's
paid for the
great.
training, they get paid to come on the day of, and they can spell poll workers who normally have a very long day. And it really real win-win. A school will actually bring in the trainers, they bring in the equipment, and they teach kids exactly how to do what you'll find if you go to an early voting site or even to polls. Um, the other thing, let's see, your other part of your question. Oh, so we run voter forums. So what we do is we get a moderator
Okay.
outside this town who cannot vote, who will moderate questions from the public for mostly it's usually your council or your board of ed when they're having an election. If there's contestants that are, if there's more than one people running for the position, we will have forums that are either sometimes they're virtual, but we always like to try to have them in public, and they're usually live streamed on either YouTube, on Facebook, and in Fairlawn we have a television station. So it is recorded that night and replayed over
Oh,
and
no
over again.
kidding.
The
Okay.
goal Yeah, it'll run until election day for everyone that has the local cable station. We just are trying really hard to make sure people don't just vote for the thing on the top of the ballot and then don't bother. But what happens, at least
Right.
in Fairlawn, is that 50% of the people just don't vote for the whole ballot. They either don't turn it over, if it's a vote by mail, they don't know who those people are, they don't take an interest in learning. In our town, it's important to know that over 60% of the town taxes go to the Board of Education's budget. So you should have some interest and an impact on that. So we're trying to get them to understand that, and it is a struggle. We want all candidates to participate in a website called vote411.org. It is a nationally organized site from the League of Women Voters. Again, it's nonpartisan. We ask every candidate that we can to participate in that, even if we don't have a forum, but it requires a lot of groundwork when you have 564 cities in the state. So, we try to get as many of them engaged as possible, but it's a heavy lift. And again, we're always looking to grow the league so we can reach more communities.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Is there a link where people can go to sign up for the League of Women Voters in their town?
Yes,
I wanna put that in the description.
sure, lwv.org. So they join.
Well, we'll put that in the description because I think it's important that people,
Yes,
uh, have that link, and then they can sign up to become a member of the
Right.
League of Women Voters. I think that's fantastic.
So you join the
And I also
national
believe
level. Yeah, you join at the national level, but you specify where you live, and then they will send you to the town where your league is, or the closest town.
oh, okay. Okay, good, good. And I know that also the league is very, involved, in not only politically, but also socially. I think it's important that people are involved, especially senior citizens. I hear from senior citizens. I'm in the senior world. I have a senior concierge service. I speak to a lot of seniors. I have a lot of clients, and I have to say I'm ashamed that a few of them do not vote. They feel because they are of a certain age, their vote doesn't matter. They feel that they're not being heard. And I try to explain to them that it's not true. Every vote matters. I believe in abolishing the electoral college. I believe in one person, one vote. Where does the league stand on that?
We agree with you. So we work with the National Voter Compact to try to promote the idea, which is a nonpartisan idea. It was something that was created when the government was formed. We've outgrown it. It's just really not functioning the way it should be functioning for our country. And also, I think in order to help people who don't vote, and maybe even people who own homes in town and no longer maybe are participating on the greater level, that it strengthens their town. Towns who vote, um, they get more funding for their town. People pay,
Oh,
oh yeah, pay attention to when people vote, they see there's an interest.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I learned
I
that.
did not know that.
I learned that from our borough manager. They're more attractive for investment when they see they have a voting and an active community. You wanna, give money to an to a town that's doing something, and if you see the people are involved, also, simply put, if you, vote and you keep up your town, your home rates stay high, and it just promotes growth and development in your town. So, if you wanna live in a nice place, you have to weigh in. That's just the way I look at it. And who knows, the legacy you leave, as a resident is still important, and you can have an impact. We encourage people at all levels, if they have an issue in town, to reach their elected officials because they work for you and they're dying to hear from you. And we don't want people just to go on Facebook and complain. We want people to reach out to them and call. And it is surprising to people that many times when you make a phone call at the local, state, or national level, you will get a person on the phone. It may not be them, but it is usually a younger person who is desperate to get into politics and is working as an aide or an assistant. And it's really wonderful. They want to know who you are. They want to know where you live, if you're a constituent in their area. And you'd be surprised. I've actually reached out to them. I was during a period when I was in between jobs and I needed to get a hold of someone in Trenton about why, unemployment. And I contacted my representative at the state level, and she gave me the phone number in Trenton. And I called, and a person answered the phone and said, "What can I do for you?" So people feel frustrated by government, but they need to be somewhat persistent and look at the way voting gives you opportunity to have an impact and also get help. So knowing who your representative is.
Yeah, and I think has the league ever thought about going to the senior community centers to speak to them about how important their vote is, how important it is for them to get involved,
Yes,
how important it is to possibly get them
yes,
out into the areas where the young people are
right,
and try to, speak to them about the importance of their rights to
right,
vote
right.
and be committed.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that find there barriers where, like, some people that are not, that are maybe more partisan will actually give rides to the polls. There's churches that give rides to the polls. There's people that try to empower people who can't get to the polls. Many people that are older prefer to go in person, so they try to help them do that. We have spoken at senior centers and organizations with older people, but
Oh,
traditionally,
okay, good.
yeah, but traditionally, older people vote more than, say, really young people. So, when you're 18 to 30 years old, it's really hard to keep you engaged. You're not necessarily living in the community you grew up in. There are organizations like, I keep forgetting what it is, but yes, there are organizations that specifically go to college campuses to engage those people. They probably vote at a lower percentage if they feel the candidates are not thinking about them. There are certain politicians that have attracted younger voters, and then there's others that have turned them off. So they get
Yeah.
caught up in, a lot of personality selection and things of that nature, but what we try to teach young people, is their values, is to pick your values. When we do mock elections in school, we ask them to rate their favorite ice cream, or even we have kids that had come to the Board of Ed to complain because there wasn't enough parking for them. So we look at the issues that really stimulate young people to get them engaged.
I think they're the biggest demographic that we should be reaching out to. And what is the biggest threat right now going on that the league is taking on a responsibility to try to meet it head on?
It is just the idea that the rule of law is being overturned. People are not following, they're acting independently. It is really the people that this government's about, not the rulers or the leaders, we'll say. And we need to engage the citizenry to speak out more. If you live in an area where you're not happy with the way things are going, we urge you to speak up. We want you, and your vote is your voice, okay? But it is the idea that democracy is under threat right now. Our country is unique in many, many ways. People have said that we are still an experiment. We may be, and we go through different phases. But there's attacks on basic democracy. I like to say to people, we don't have a civil war, but we have a civility war here in this country. And we need to think about that and what that means in terms of who your neighbors are, whether they put up a sign for or against your candidate, that we have to maintain civility and recognize people have reasons why they vote the way they do. The league is very big on nonpartisanship. But it is frustrating because we start labeling them as the enemy, and we really have to understand where they're coming from, and to have those conversations is difficult because people live in their own silos. So I encourage people to reach out and have friends who don't think the way they do and look for other commonalities so we can humanize each other. And then we can really fight for the decent things that this country should stand for.
Absolutely. And on that note, everyone, make sure you vote this year and next year. If there's an election going on this year, please vote. Definitely vote next year. And thank you
Well,
so
this
much for your
year,
time, Eileen.
yep, November 4th. Yep, and go to vote,
November 4th, that's right. We do
and
have
you can
some elections.
vote411.org and double check, if your registration status and where your voting place is, and the deadlines if you wanna vote early or even vote by mail.
I will definitely put that in the link. Eileen, I appreciate your time.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks for being on Ride to Independence. Bye.
Bye-bye.